The fashion world is mourning the death of Oscar de la Renta. The famed designer died Monday at his home in Connecticut, reportedly surrounded by family and friends. The death of the Dominican-born designer will be felt beyond the fashion industry. Many of his most iconic designs were worn by actors and models, as well as politicians and their families. He was 82 years old. Joining us to discuss the life and legacy of Oscar de la Renta is Renta Wright, who is the digital marketing manager for Black Enterprise and has also reported on fashion for the magazine. And we also have with us Kibwe Chase Marshall, who is an apparel designer and fashion writer. He worked for Oscar de la Renta in the early 2000s. Welcome both of you to Arise America. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. So let's just start. I think I'll start with you, Kibwe, because you had the chance to work with Oscar de la. Reminisce. What was he like to work with?
I used an analogy recently where if a basketball aficionado got to play with Jordan, imagine how surreal that experience would be. Oscar de la Renta was someone who I had seen clothing designed by on the pages of Vogue and Bazaar growing up, and being around that sort of creative was captivating and also so informative as a creative. It changed the way I looked at clothing.
Let's talk about his fashion. I think when I loved Oscar de la Renta's clothes, can't say I ever afforded to wear them. However, when I think of his design, I think elegance, sophistication. Talk about his style and how he made his individual mark in the fashion world.
When I think of Oscar, I definitely think of modern luxury. Though I could not go in and get a gown, he definitely symbolized an elegance, a sophistication, but he was always about quality. I had an opportunity to work with him briefly when I was finishing undergrad at Marymount University, and for our designer collections, he went through with a fine-tooth comb, and not only did he give positive critiques, but he was just so gracious and kind, and he just wanted people to continue to push further, continue to make quality products, source quality fabrics. In fact, he actually sent fabrics from his collection then to the senior designers, which was a huge deal. You don't get an opportunity to use those kind of fabrics, as a student designer.
Yeah.
So that he was very gracious, very kind, and very spot on. I mean,
what seems so amazing to me as I begin to read more about his life than you would normally read on any other day, what struck me, Kibwe, is how he was able, I don't know if you would call it reinventing himself, but he was able to stay current. Of course, he burst onto the scene with Jackie Kennedy way back in the 60s, but he dresses current day designers as well as Amal Clooney most recently.
I think part of that is really about how much classic sensibilities are directly embedded in the DNA of de la Renta's brand. He really did the sort of clothing that it wasn't about staying current, it was about it never going away.
And very timeless.
It was very timeless. And part of that was really about him carving a lane in the US as a designer that was engaging of sportswear aesthetics, but really injected with his sort of Latin passion. So the ruffles, the embellishment, the volume of the clothing that was informed by his time at Balenciaga and Lanvin, that was really unique for a U.S. designer.
And tell me, and you guys, you're the experts, not me, but it seems like his fashions were very feminine. There are other male designers that knew how to design sexy, but he did feminine.
He did, and he definitely believed in the power of women. I mean, he spoke a lot about how he loved to dress powerful women, but to dress them in a way that they felt powerful in the clothes. Not that the clothes exuded that type of, hard lines or things like that. You still felt beautiful, but you felt empowered in ruffles, in these vibrant colors. And he never steered away from that. He stayed very, very true throughout the end. Even though he did dabble in social media, he did come online. So he stepped up and he said, he made his presence known digitally, which was awesome.
And his heart, very quickly before we have to go, his heart was never far from his homeland, the Dominican Republic.
No, he is, I will always say he's sort of a Carnegie caliber philanthropist in the DR that is revered among the nation's most accomplished professionals.
Amazing man, but his legacy will be here forever.
Yes, certainly will.
Kibwe Chase Marshall, Renta Wright, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
And you're watching Arise America.